What's new, crew? Welcome back to my channel. If you're new, my name's Cassandra, and today we are doing a really big recap of the Pantry Challenge that happened in January. I know there's still a couple days left of January, but Pantry Challenge is pretty much over, and I wanted to show you guys the behind the scenes of a lot of different things that we did all month long. Some of these are going to be recaps and clips from other full videos that are on my channel that we've put out and you guys have watched over the last month. Other things are clips that you guys haven't seen yet, but I wanted to put a video together not only for you guys but for myself to see exactly what I was able to accomplish in Pantry Challenge, what I was able to learn, different skills that I was able to obtain or learn, and it's just gonna be a good video to look back on for myself for next year if I decide to do this challenge, and just kind of recapping for not only myself but for you guys, and giving guys maybe some ideas on what you would want to learn as well. So let's hop into the very first day of January 1st, and here is what we have going. I pulled out a venison tenderloin from the freezer. We still have this one that you see here and then one other one in the freezer, and what we like to do with our venison tenderloins is cut them into steaks. So I am preparing this tenderloin and showing you guys basically how we're going to make deer steaks out of these. So this white or silver membrane that you see me cutting off is something that needs to come off of the venison. It's going to keep your venison really tough and very chewy if you leave it on, so it's important to cut it off. Now, none of this is going to waste. My dogs love this stuff. You're going to see them circling around me. They know when venison comes out, they are like sharks in the water. They are underneath my feet and waiting for any sort of scrap. So while I'm preparing this venison tenderloin, I'm also making some pasta because we are going to do kind of like a venison Alfredo or like a cream gravy venison noodle. It was delicious, you guys. It was so good. So as I'm taking all of this membrane off, we're getting our pasta going. I decided to make a really fat egg noodle. I thought that would go best with this kind of like robust style dish. Once we get all of that membrane off, we're going to just slice them into steaks. You can make them as thick or as thin as you want. That way you can kind of vary how many steaks do you really need. We're a family of 6, so if we really want to be able to eat this for one meal and then have leftovers, maybe I'm shooting for about 12 steaks, but we'll see how that ends up happening. It was a pretty good sized tenderloin, so we did get 2 meals out of it, and it was delicious. So once we get that cut into steaks, we're going to go ahead and season that with whatever kind of spices you want. I really like to keep my spices very natural and somewhat earthy, so we like to do thyme, maybe a little bit of rosemary, but thyme and venison go together so beautifully. So I always do thyme, pepper, a little bit of seasoned salt, maybe a little bit of Lorry, some onion powder, some garlic powder. Simple seems to be best when it comes to venison, in my opinion, but I'm sure you'll find other people on the internet who have a different opinion, but that's just me. These are all the scraps that I set aside for the dogs, and we are going to go ahead and, like I said, slice these into steaks. You can see here. Now in my cast iron skillet, I put in some butter and a whole onion, and I'm going to let that onion caramelize and start to develop some flavor. And then I'm going to start plopping my venison steaks in there, and then I will tell you guys what I ended up doing to finish off this cream gravy sauce while our water boiled for our pasta, and then how everything ended up coming together. So my camera died halfway through cooking, but all I did was cut these into steaks. I seasoned them a little bit with a couple of spices. I'll put them up on the screen. Put it in the cast iron with some butter. Kissed them on both sides. Tenderloins don't take that long to cook. I did that with my onions in the pan. Then I did a second round of tenderloins because they didn't all fit in my pan. Then I put in 2 tablespoons of butter, about a 1/4 cup of flour, some beef base, made a quick beef gravy. Then I added in about a cup of heavy cream and probably a cup or so of frozen spinach. And this is our venison tenderloin, onion, spinach gravy, and we're eating that over the fresh pasta. And this is what it looks like. And then for the kids, I just sliced their tenderloin so it's bite-sized pieces and it's much easier for them to eat. And we're finishing off the rest of our Christmas paper plates. So that is dinner for tonight. Pantry challenge for me was also about using up things that have been in my pantry way too long. Hence this mashed potato flake things. We never use these things. These have been in my pantry for way too long. So I had to look at the directions, figure out how to use them, and we ended up making those with some garlic maple salmon. No, this is trout. This was a maple trout that we ended up doing, and then we ate that with stuffing, some gravy, and the mashed potatoes that you saw. And that was kind of that dinner, just getting things out of the pantry that we don't use. Another thing we did this month was brine and smoke a smaller variety of trout. So some trout are tiny, like this you see here, and some trout are a lot bigger, and you get really nice fillets off of them, like you saw in the previous clip. So what we like to do for our smaller variety of trout is brine them and smoke them, and then we eat them kind of like a beef jerky. It's absolutely delicious. One of our favorite things. We brine them in just water, salt, brown sugar, maybe a little bit of honey. You could do maple syrup, whatever you wanted, but it is delicious. We brine them for usually overnight, about 12 hours, and then we put them in the smoker for probably another 3 hours. It doesn't take that long. These fish are pretty tiny. And we also like to make a smoked trout dip with like cream cheese and chives, and it's just delicious to eat that on crackers. Sometimes you could eat it on bread for like a really quick smoked sandwich with like some hard-boiled eggs or something. That's really good too. So we also went ahead and smoked this trout and had that kind of as like a protein snack for my husband and myself, and even some of my kids really like the smoked trout as well. One of the things I ended up getting for Christmas was a hand-cranked pasta roller, which is something I really wanted to be able to make lasagna noodles. My pasta maker does make lasagna noodles, but not very well, and I wanted these to be able to do that and make ravioli and things like that. So my oldest daughter and myself learned kind of how to use that together. We made a really quick red sauce with some of our spaghetti sauce, some ground beef, some Italian sausage, some more spinach, and then we ended up layering that with our lasagna noodles, some ricotta cheese, mozzarella cheese, cheddar cheese, and it was a delicious lasagna. And the greatest part about this is that I got to do this with one of my daughters, so I didn't film a lot during this day, but it was a lot of fun to be able to be in the kitchen with her and see her just as excited to be able to learn new things. So she helped me make the pasta dough and roll it out, and then I got to show her how to assemble a lasagna, and that was so much fun. So this was it was a little bit more of a labor intensive meal, but this was a really lazy day. You can see I'm still in my pajamas. She was still in her pajamas. It was dinner time, just hanging out, and it was just a really relaxed day kind of after the holidays, and it was so fun. It was a lot of fun. So this is a memory that I'm so excited that I get to have with her, and this was our beautiful lasagna, and this ended up feeding us for about 3 days between dinner and some lunches and things like that. So this lasted a really long time, and everybody agreed that this was the best lasagna we've ever had, like we've ever made. So I think this is going to be our new go-to recipe for lasagna. Another goal I had during Pantry Challenge was to use up more of my zucchini. I preserved, I think, like 5 or 6 gallons of zucchini this year, so I really needed to work better at moving through it. So we made some chocolate zucchini muffins, and these were a huge hit. We also ended up using up some leftover cream cheese to put in the center of these from Christmas time, so that was also really good. We got a lot of things cleared out that needed to be cleared out. I tried a new recipe for the zucchini, and everybody loved them. I talked about that in these videos. The kids, these were a hit. These were amazing. I also ended up using zucchini in some meatloaf that we ended up prepping together in some no-cook Homestead freezer meals for some convenience items. We made meatballs this day. We made a couple meatloafs. We made dinner together this day. So this was really about getting a lot of convenience meals in the freezer, and I pulled out my food processor to put a ton of veggies in my meatloaf, which is what I really like to do. We did onions, bell peppers, carrots, a lot of things from the garden got put in this meatloaf, a lot of veggie packed meatloafs, which is always the goal here. And I ended up taking some shredded zucchini out of the freezer and putting that in my meatloaf as well, which is something that I've never done before, but I always put in my onions, my bell peppers, and my carrots. So it just made sense to be able to go ahead and put zucchini in there too. And you guys, nobody noticed. Nobody cared. Nobody said anything. And it was just one more thing to be able to throw into the meatloaf. a little bit more nutrition, a little bit more veg, and it didn't impact anything. So I'm going to be doing this again, and I think I might end up also doing these in my meatballs. If I can put my shredded zucchini in my food processor and get it really tiny, it's going to look no different than oregano or basil in the meatball, and I don't think anybody's going to notice or care. So that's something that I'm also going to be doing moving forward to continue to be able to use up a lot more of my zucchini in the freezer. Here is the journey of my very first sourdough loaf. I also got some sourdough making things for Christmas, and of course I needed to give that a try. This is its own full video if you wanted to see the entire journey of my first sourdough, from making my sourdough starter to my very first loaf. That video is up, and I've talked about this a little bit since then. I don't know if sourdough is for us. It's a taste thing for us. It's very different than a regular bread, but sourdough looks so good, and I love the health benefits that are attached to sourdough. So I have kept trying. I've tried 2 or 3 different sourdough recipes since then, and none of them have been something that we're excited to eat. So I don't really know what I'm going to do. I'm going to keep trying, but inevitably I don't know if it's going to be for us. But some of you guys have sent me a lot of resources like Farmhouse on the Boone and a couple of different channels that you guys recommended for sourdough recipes. So I'm going to keep trying, but I just wanted to be very honest in our opinion in that. So that's kind of that update. Another huge goal of mine this year that we talked about was being able to make a lot of my own cleaning products and just kind of get a lot of unwanted chemicals and things out of our house. So this is a huge step I've made. At the beginning of the month, I ordered a couple of these glass jars from Amazon. They are linked down below if you want to check those out. They're very inexpensive. I want to say they were $15 for 3 glass jars. So that's something that is really affordable, and you're going to use time and time again, and I really like them. That's just my opinion. I also have my Castile soap. This is a variety pack that I ordered. I think it came with 6 different scents, so you could try them all out, figure what you like, what you don't like. That's what I wanted to do before I ordered a huge bottle of 1 scent, and we're really liking those. So that's what I've been using for my all-purpose spray, and that works great on windows, on mirrors, all of the things. I've used it to clean my floors, and we are also using it here to make laundry soap. This is also its own full video if you wanted to know how to make your own laundry detergent, and we've been liking that as well. I talked about this in an update video on the laundry detergent. I accidentally ordered an off-brand Castile soap, and it is not good. So it's Whole Naturals. I got it off Amazon, or did I get it from Walmart? One of the two, and it congealed so bad. I can't even use it. So I would not order that. If you're going to order it, definitely make sure you're ordering an actual pure Castile soap and not an off-brand one. So I learned that lesson. So definitely make sure that you do that. But other than that, I am loving this. Here is that Whole Naturals one, that really big jug. Definitely not it. Definitely stick to the original actual Castile soap. With that one, I've had absolutely no issues. It's perfect. I don't have to stir it or shake it before I use it. That was a really big question that I got, but definitely don't use anything off-brand. I didn't realize I was doing that. I ordered it by accident, so that's just kind of one of the things that you mistake sometimes when you're ordering online. So I'm going to try to find different ways to use this, because it was like $25 or $26 for this half gallon, and I want to use it up. So we're going to see how that ends up working. In the kitchen, we're doing a lot of things. I finished off a batch of sourdough sandwich loaf bread that I started yesterday. So this is out, ready to go. I'm not ready to talk about this because I have no idea what I'm doing yet with sourdough. I have one sourdough video up. I'll link that down below that we just put up. So very new to it, and I'm learning way more from you guys. So thank you for all the tips and tricks and like resources that you guys left down below on that video, because I've been kind of reading a little bit. So thank you. That's where I got one of that loaf recipe. So thank you so much. We have in the mixer here a batch of chocolate baked donuts that we're gonna be getting going today. The kids have a half day today. They're actually gonna be home in about an hour or so, so I'm hoping to have these done for when they get home for like a snack, just something fun. So we're trying those out, and I got some burger buns ready and rising. These are gonna go in the oven in a little bit. I'm trying to do a little bit of prep work because my kids are all home today. They're gonna be home obviously in like an hour, but this is also the night where my husband has night school, so he's not gonna be home at all tonight. He won't be back home until, honestly, I'm getting ready to roll into bed anyways, so he's not gonna be here to help with the kids or anything. We're doing burgers and potato wedges tonight, so having the burger buns prepped, the meat, the beef is thawed out and in the fridge ready to go, so that's a huge step in the right direction. So it'll be really easy to whip everything together if I have enough time, because I'm trying to get all this done while the baby naps and my son is kind of like hunkered out. He's eating a snack, made a tent in the living room, watching some cartoons. So I'm hoping that I can get all this done in all of that little window of time that I have. If I can finish up these donuts and get them in the oven and make some sort of a glaze so that they're ready to be glazed, I will wash and dice or wedge up my potatoes, so that way when it comes time to make dinner, all I have to do is put them in the oven and then press out my burger patties and everything will be really smooth sailing. So that's kind of my thought for today's process. Recipe down below for you guys if you're interested in it. I've never made these kind of donuts before, but usually I make yeast donuts and I fry them, but I wanted some donut pans for Christmas and I got them, so that's what we're doing today. I'm making these chocolate donuts, so we're gonna see how this goes. I'm using a couple recipes because we are in Pantry Challenge. This one wants dark cocoa. I don't have that, I have regular. It's also calling for buttermilk, and all I have is almond milk right now, so that's what I put in. We're gonna see how it goes. If it doesn't turn out, oh well, we know for next time and we can adjust, but I'm just trying to work with what I have. I'm gonna throw in, these are almost ready. I just have to add in the flour and then we can get these in the oven. So I'm gonna start preheating my oven really quick. So that's ready to go. It's still kind of warm from the sourdough anyways. And then with my kitchen being really warm, I'm sure that my hamburger buns are gonna rise and be ready to put in the oven really quickly. Those hamburger buns are a 40-minute hamburger bun anyways. They are super easy to throw together and very quick. So they don't take long to rise at all. I'm gonna get my donut pans out and spray them out so that we can just kind of start rolling things together and moving this along as quickly as we possibly can. I'm trying to figure out the best way to put this in here because I've never made these before. I have no idea what I'm doing. So I think we're just gonna use old trusty here and kind of hope for the best. So I just put them in with my regular measuring spoon and I took a spoon and just kind of scraped off the tops. You don't always need all the right equipment. Sometimes you just have to learn to work with what you've got. So this is what I'm doing. These are gonna go in the oven. I'm very excited about this. We'll have enough for the kids to have some snackies and maybe one for breakfast tomorrow or something. So very fun. Let's get these in the oven and see how these donut glaze. I'll link this recipe down below as well. The recipe I'm linking down below calls for corn syrup. It says it's optional. I made mine with no corn syrup. So here it is. Everything's ready now. I'm just waiting on my donuts. And I'm very excited to give one a try. So I'm pretty good right now. I'm going to set this aside and now I'm going to start washing potatoes and cutting them into wedges. And then I'm just going to leave them in a bowl with cold water until it's time to put them in the oven for dinner. So I'm going to set this over here. Grab these eggshells. Those can go for chicken scraps. Oh my goodness. I cannot tell you how excited I am. Donuts are my favorite thing in the world. Every Mother's Day and every birthday, that's what I want for breakfast typically, is like baked goods. So whether that be like donuts and muffins, something like that, that is my absolute favorite thing. I love donuts. My favorite donut has always been just like a classic old-fashioned like baked cake glazed donut. I don't know why they took me so long to figure out, but or to say it, but those have always been my favorite. Let me know down below what your favorite donut is. It has come second, or a very close second, has become just like a glazed jelly filled donut or like a Bavarian cream filled donut. Those have also been creeping up there over the last couple years, but hands down is just a glazed cake donut. Those are the superior donut. We also learned how to make flour tortillas. I have made them one more time since this filming, and they're so easy, you guys. They're so fun as long as you have a little bit of time to set aside to make them. They're really not that hard to make. They don't take a lot of skill, which is really awesome, because if you're looking for somewhere to start cooking from scratch or just becoming a little bit more self-sufficient, this is a really great way to start. Just a couple of ingredients, knead it for a minute, go ahead and cut them into your tortilla balls. This recipe makes 8 tortillas, so you cut them into 8 balls, roll them, let them sit on the counter for 10-15 minutes underneath a towel to give them some time to rest so that the gluten can relax a little bit. Roll them out, fry them in your frying pan. You do not need a cast iron skillet to do this, and you fry them for 1 to 2 minutes on one side, flip it 30 seconds on the other side, and you have some really beautiful tortillas. I've been trying to figure out how to describe these, because this is also in a full video if you wanted to watch a full video on this. And they're kind of like a cross between a flour tortilla and a chalupa shell. They're a little bit thicker than a regular flour tortilla, but that could have just been me from not rolling them out thin enough. That's definitely a possibility, but we really like them. My kids have eaten them, my husband has eaten them now, and they're really good. They are fantastic. So I would love to be able to say that I'm never going to buy flour tortillas from the store again, but that's probably not true, just because we go through so many of them. So I will still probably be doing a mixture of them, but this was a goal I had during Pantry Challenge, to learn how to make tortillas. That way, if anything crazy ever happened in the world again and shortages became a thing, at least I now know how to make tortillas. I have the possibility to be able to make them on my own, and that's really what self-sufficiency is for me personally, is just knowing that I can do them. I've done it before. That doesn't mean I'm always going to do it, or that I'm just never going to buy them from the store again, because I definitely will. But just knowing that I have the skills, I have the knowledge to be able to do it. That way, if it ever became something where they were no longer available, or shortages were really bad and we couldn't get as many as my family would like or would need, I have the possibility to be able to make them on my own. Now, that also means that maybe there is a day on a Saturday afternoon or a Sunday afternoon where my husband's home and he can help keep kids out from underneath my feet, and I can rock out, 100 of these tortillas in an afternoon. Is that a possibility? For sure. Does that mean that that's always going to happen? Definitely not. I mean, we go through probably, probably 60, 80 tortillas in a month. So that's just not plausible for my family. And I think that's realistic for most people, is that I don't always have one Saturday once a month where I can dedicate, an hour or two to roll out 60 or 80 tortillas. That's just the reality. So just keeping it very honest here, that I've learned what I wanted to learn. I know I can do it. And now I know that in an emergency or in a shortage, we will be able to still have something that we really like tortillas. So that's kind of my stance on it for my household and my family. If that's different for your household and your family, that's awesome. Let's work on, I will be an expert for my household and you be an expert for your household, because everybody's wants and needs are always going to be just a little bit different. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with me during this Homestead Pantry Challenge kind of recap. I hope that you guys learned some new things, and I will catch you guys in another video. See you guys.